Hello YouTube. So today I get to talk about 1109 as it did drop this morning, drop definitely. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about it and I have my handy dandy notebook. So I will be reading off of this from time to time. I'm sorry about the light. I would have recorded this earlier, but I had a lot of stuff to do. So instead you get awkward sun from a beautiful angle. But yeah, let's get into 1109. It pseudo left off where we had, picked up where we had dropped off last time, which is Vegapunk's message, except of course in typical fashion, it isn't just immediately going to be, hey, this is the information I want to get out. Instead, we get a very interesting bit as he starts kind of, showing that it is definitely a pre-recorded message to us and unknown to the general audience. And he's also kind of confirming on how, this whole message is going out, which is basically he's hooked into the marine transponder snails so that they can't really cut it, or as the chapter says, termination, they can't really terminate the transponder snails. So very fun thing that the title of the thing is Termination, and the whole thing is about trying to terminate Vegapunk, terminate life, and also terminate this message now. So we don't know what the message is, but whatever this message is, it's going to have a visual aid to it, as Vegapunk says, hey everyone, I'm going to give you an hour, and then he says, I'll give you 10 minutes to get a visual transponder snail and, get it hooked up because I'm going to show you something. So presumably, for us, we're going to be thinking that we're going to actually be getting a showcase of past events, or even like actually getting to see the Godosei in monster forms, or even what Emu may actually look like. It's unknown precisely the information that we're going to be seeing, but whatever it is, it needs a visual aid. So very fun on that. Next up, we get to see some fun stuff as, now that we got the information out, it's slowly moving down and showcasing some past people. So, of course, it immediately goes to the Marines who are freaking out, like, how is this happening? We can't really cut the lines. And then it goes to the Godosei saying, like, how is this getting out? I thought we had taken care of him, confirming that, yes, it was a dead man switch, which basically means that once a person dies and something activates, it comes from, I believe, train conductors while they're pulling the thing to speed it up. If they were ever to die, it wouldn't be able to like keep going or derail. It would automatically let go and slow down the train. Fun fact, I believe. Look it up. But yeah, I believe that's where we get it from. But yeah, they confirm that, and then they're also saying like we gotta do something about that. That's really bad. So I'm looking down to make sure that I'm getting everything right. Yeah, and they're also confirming that the Labostratum is where it's originating from, which is just his upstairs area that's protected by the barrier. Next, we get to start seeing what the population is like, and not just the Marines and the Godosei, and we start off with some old friends, which is the Dressrosans, which we get to see Leo and Rebecca. Leo saying, seeing that, basically just seen an article saying that Luffy had just kidnapped somebody, basically, and then Rebecca saying another bad article about Lucy, this being about Luffy kidnapping somebody, which presumably, if it is from the Marines and how they're spinning it, if it is a current one and the most recent one that just came out, they're saying that Luffy had just kidnapped Vegapunk, and presumably they're going to try to spin it that Luffy, unalived Vegapunk. But with Vegapunk releasing this information, it's going to be hard to spin it in a Marine favor. So we get to see a very fun thing there, and fun with, if it's that, and also it could be past articles, but presumably this is the most recent article, news article that came out. Next, we also get to see Iceberg, which Iceberg hasn't been seen for a while, but he sees his apprentice, and the apprentice is just saying like, hey, don't worry, Iceberg, I already got it. It's middle of night, but I already told all the citizens, hey, we got to look at this video. Something big's about to happen. We also get to see Fuchsia Village, which is Luffy's place, his hometown. And it's the mayor says a very interesting thing where he basically is complaining about like, oh, I thought this was just going to be more news that's bad-mouthing Luffy, which very interesting that he seems to be either referring to the most recent article, which is saying that he has kidnapped somebody, or just all of the articles, the most recent arcs, seeing how he was in Dressrosa, which he was a hero, but then all of a sudden he's being seen as a villain in Whole Cake and then in Wano. So it's like, it's interesting how are they painting him as we get into Egghead after how everybody had been revealed on Dressrosa, right? So it's fun to see that, even, like the back in Fuchsia Village, he's even still like, always bad-mouthing Luffy, come on. After that, we get to see kind of like a general public as it goes from like east to, East Sea, South Sea, stuff like that. And it seems like the general public is just believing that this is going to be a brand new invention because this is coming from Vegapunk and we need a visual representation. He's going to show us something that's going to bring us into the new age, right? But obviously it's not going to be an invention or anything like that. It's going to be very fun information and the truth of the world. And then we also get to see Vivi. Now Vivi is there, and she immediately goes, now hold on a second, like where's Luffy, where's the crew? And Morgans immediately says, well, look at the time. And a very interesting note is he says, like, this has to be a pre-recorded message because the Buster Call would have that island up in flames and be, in ruins right now, which is interesting to note because either that means that the news article that it came out actually is saying that a Buster Call is happening, which means that they, for some odd reason, didn't try to cover that up, which is an interesting thought that the Marine news would be painting Luffy in a bad light, but not covering up that they have to literally annihilate the island, which you would think that they would want to cover that up or try to spin things more in a positive light, but it's interesting what information is getting out. We don't have any, like, full information to us, so it's just like these bits and pieces that we're getting here each week, right? So I think, a couple of weeks here, next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be getting whatever this news article is, and I think Luffy might be getting a bounty boost or something, but he's going to be getting mentioned, and it's going to be giving us this big information on whether this, how is this being spun? How much truth and who is spinning it? Is it somebody we know, or is it just the Marine news, right? After that, we also get to see the Revolutionary Army react, which the main thing is them being like, whoa, that's Vegapunk, as most of them haven't seen Vegapunk, or like, what are you doing, Vegapunk? But then Dragon is seen just kind of silent, and he, there's a line of like, he's dying, and like Dragon knows that Vegapunk is dying, not Dragon is dying, but he knows that Vegapunk is dying, and that's what this message is. This message is his dead man switch, so he's just kind of a solemn expression, almost. But there's also the interesting thing that still none of the Vegapunk bodies really seem to be reacting to Vegapunk dying, so it seems like they even, like the Godos, they even mention like the main body is dying, but they aren't saying like, oh god, somebody like ultimate death or anything like that, right? So it's like, yeah, it's interesting, like, where are we going with all this? And lastly, to wrap it up, we get the ending of Luffy's fight, which, very fun things to always see Luffy fighting in Gear 5, right? We get to see him with both of Kizaru and Saturn in his hands, which, seeing that his punches aren't working, decides to use a new move called Gum Gum Booming Dawn Symbol, where he has both of them and he smashes them together, and it flattens them both. He then spins them kind of like pizzas and hurls them away, smashing them into what looks like boats or buildings, hard to tell. Kizaru remains on the ground with his arm over his eyes in a way that's kind of, an interesting way of like almost sorrowful. He's not like on the ground exhausted. His eyes are over, his arm is over his eyes, like he's trying to hide that he's crying or something, or there's tears in his eyes, because from his, he just ended his, one of his I don't want to say a mentor, but one of his old friends. He just, he's the reason why Vegapunk is, the main body is going to no longer be here, why Vegapunk may no longer be here as a whole. And as we've seen in the whole, past situations, they were really good friends. It's just, for him, duty is duty, and unfortunately, he's being tasked with ending Vegapunk. But now that he's done it, and now that the message is going to be leaked anyways, it seems like he's feeling sorrowful that he ended one of his friends' lives, and he even tried to end Bonnie and Kuma's life, and even Sentomaru. Like, he's done so much, and now it almost seems like it's in this moment finally that it's all catching up to him. So he may have like a Rob Lucci moment where I've mentioned that I believe Rob Lucci may not necessarily join the pirates or the Revolutionary Army, but they'll no longer be part of the Marines, or they'll join Sword, which is kind of like that in the Marines, but not a Marine. Like, they're kind of like doing secret things that seem almost not Marine-like. So it seems like maybe Kizaru, as well as some CP0, especially Lucci, will be kind of going into this new anti-Marine type of thing now that they're seeing how they're being treated, or how they're reacting, and how they're feeling, and everything that's going on here, just in this small island that's been taking place for maybe an hour or two in canon. I'm not sure the exact time period, but it really hasn't been that long of time. After that, but while Kizaru remains on the ground, Saturn immediately springs back up and starts jumping back at Luffy, and he goes for an attack, which misses, and Saturn is told that Vegapunk's info must not get out, so as a result of that, he says, alright, you're right, and he performs a summoning ritual by the looks of things, and even says, you'll perform the summoning, and as a result, we see 4 black lightning tornado vortexes type things appear on the island. And from the looks of things, those are the 4 other Godosei, and everyone's freaking out. It's, Luffy in Gear 5, eyes coming out of his head. Sanji saying, oh, that, I believe is, oh, that black lightning. It's like when when he turned into a giant spider. So very good stuff as we, we're going into like the big climax of the island, right? We're about to get rid of Egghead. Presumably the Giants are going to be joining in with Luffy, so that's going to give him a lot of advantage in offense and defense. Hopefully Zoro maybe even grabbing Lucci and bringing him over could be doing something. It's very interesting where we're headed, and I think it's going to be a huge fight where I think a large part of it also isn't going to be necessarily fighting, but more so getting those Straw Hats off the island and getting the main Giants as well. Presumably there'll be some people who are forced to stay behind, and with the fact that we do know that the news is out, we may even see some other past people coming in, like people who we didn't see in the little flashback thing, like we know Just Rosens and we know what was happening on Wano, but we haven't seen the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. So they could be around the corner waiting until, just this moment to come in and say, all right, you guys get off. The more cannon fodder ones will stay behind. People like Cavendish, Bartolomeo, they'll, go with Luffy because they're the more named characters, the more, bigger named characters. So they'll go with Luffy and the Straw Hats to make sure they get off and get our new information. While other people like the other Giant or the blue-haired dude, punching and stuff, the King, these people may be coming in and, cannon fodder. They may be getting written off in a way. So we'll have to wait and see. Presumably, I'm guessing Egghead wraps up in the next... We don't have a chapter next week, unfortunately, but I'm going to say the next 3 chapters will probably be wrapped up with Egghead, and we'll be moving off of it. Now, for the remaining, effects of Egghead, that's waited to be seen. But the Straw Hat crew, I'm predicting, will be off of Egghead in 3 chapters. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, then stick around, like and subscribe and comment and all that stuff, because I will continue talking about One Piece. I mean, I got a couple weeks to do it. I'm also going to be talking about Borderlands, because I got more stuff with that, as well as maybe even playing stuff, or maybe even doing a live stream, because why not? Although those will be late, it'll be around like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so late at night, but hey, fall asleep to it. I don't know. But stay tuned, and if you didn't like the video, then dislike. I know I ramble a lot. Let me know what you didn't like about the video so I can try to improve upon it. So next time you see a video, you enjoy it more. But until next time, bye guys.